Hello, I hope everyone is having a great day. I wanted to make a YouTube video since right now I'm not doing garden tours. I probably won't do a garden tour until the end of February. Things are planted in the garden right now. It's just cold. So I haven't felt like going out there and taking you guys on a tour of what I have planted right now. So what I wanted to do today is come to you and do a 2021 Empties video. So these are all empty seed packets that I planted through in 2021. And so I just wanted to show you guys some of the things that I was growing in my garden. Now these weren't all the things that I was growing. There's other seeds that I was growing as well, but I didn't plant through those packages. I wanted to specifically just come to you and show you the ones that I planted through. Some of these I also sold in a seedling sale at my local farmer's market at the beginning of spring. So while you may think, I'm sure there was a lot of seeds in that packet, not all of them made it to my garden. A lot of them made it to other people's gardens. So I wanted to share that with you guys today, and all of these seed packets are empty. A couple of them have like 1 or 2 seeds left, so I'm still considering those as planted through. And some of these I planted at the beginning of spring, and some of these literally just a few weeks ago in December. But I wanted to talk to you guys about the things that I planted, the packets that I planted through, and how they did for me in my garden, and whether or not I'm planning on planting them again this year. So stick around if you want to know about the seed packets that I planted through in 2021. If you can hear my children in the background, I have a lot of kids. It's rarely ever quiet in the house, so you may hear them from time to time. And also, the microphone on my forward-facing camera on my phone is not as good quality as the back-facing camera, and I'm using the forward-facing camera now. So if you hear any feedback, it's because I'm using the forward-facing camera. But I wanted to start out by showing you my seed storage. I'm currently storing a majority of my seeds in this CD binder. So you can see, and it's almost completely full. And that's quite an accomplishment to me, because when I first started getting into gardening and I got this from Facebook Marketplace, I thought, oh, it'll take me a while before I fill this up. Little did I know, I did not realize how fun collecting seeds is. It's almost fun as planting them and tending to them. So I have a majority of my seeds in there, and then I also have this bin as well. So these are some of my bulk seeds, and then seeds that I've grown in my garden and harvested for sale. And then a lot of it hasn't been divided into packages yet, so I just have them in bulk plastic bags. So that is work for another day. So that's where I store all my seeds currently. I feel like I've finally graduated to one of those hardcore seed collectors who gets the hard plastic case, the photo case, with multiple little cases within it, and then has all their seeds divided by variety. So I think I'm ready for that now. So next time my Hobby Lobby has a sale on them, I'm pretty sure I'm going to scoop one up. So without further ado, I want to show you my empty seed packets from 2021. And I'll just go through, these are in no particular order as far as the season in which I planted them. It's just how I grabbed them out of my seed binder. But I'll talk you through each variety that I have in my hand, and then how they did for me in my garden and how I liked them. So first up is Snapdragon, and I'll tell you guys where I got the seeds too. I am on my forward-facing camera because I wanted to make sure that the seed packets were in view. So these Snapdragons are from Dollar Tree, and the package says 99 cents, but they were 4 packs for $1, so it was actually 25 cents. And I have to say that I will always grow this mix, because it is a mix. It's called Snapdragon Tall Rust Resistant Mixed Colors, and it did have mixed colors. It had like a dark cranberry, it had yellow, and it had like an apricot color. The picture shows white. I didn't get any white when I planted these. Now some of these I also did sell in my seedling sale at the farmer's market. So when I sold them, they were still seedlings. They weren't bloomed out, so I don't know what color they were. And I just marketed them as a surprise color Snapdragon. And they sold pretty well. Now, I never got any feedback or follow-up on how they did in people's gardens, but I'm hoping this year, as I tell people about my Facebook page, Squire Studio, if they would like to share pictures of the seedlings that they bought onto that page, they're more than welcome to, because I would love to know how the plants did in their garden. But this is a mix I'll forever grow for only 25 cents. All of the varieties, I'm not sure exactly what the varieties were. If I had to guess, I would say they were probably Rocket and Potomac. And I say that because of the shape of the Snapdragon and when they bloomed. These bloomed throughout most of my growing season. They did slow down in the summer because I stopped cutting them back. I feel like if I had kept cutting them back and left them in through the fall, they would have rebloomed, because I got at least 2 flushes from each plant. But the plants started getting tired and I ended up just ripping them out instead of trying to see if they would perennialize or not. So I planted through this pack, and when I planted those, there were times where I did just sprinkle a few in each cell, and then there were times where I did just try to do like 1 or 2 in each cell. So while there was a significant amount of seeds, some did dampen off, and not all of them made it to the garden. But this did give a good amount of seeds for only 25 cents. The next pack is the Oregon Sugar Pod Snow Pea. And this I planted around April. And I think I probably could have planted it sooner than that. It was just my first time growing peas, and so I wasn't sure. And on the back of the package, for the zone that I am in, it does say February through April, and then late July because they can be grown in the fall. I did not grow any of these in the fall. I think I will this year. These, I ended up selling the micros from it. So the pea shoots, as these grew, I cut the pea shoots, packaged them, and sold them at the farmer's market, and they did pretty well. Once the peas started to form on the pea vines, okay, so they're having a good time. But once the pea pods started to form, I actually just kept the pea pods for my family. I didn't sell them at the farmer's market. This year, my goal is to plant a lot more so that I'll have a significant amount of pea pods to sell at the farmer's market, and I'm not going to do the pea shoots this year. So unless no, I'm not going to do the pea shoots because it wasn't a ton of work, but just the return on the time, it really wasn't worth it for me, and I feel like I could, with the pea pods, I could get a little bit more profit to make the return on my time a little bit better. So I did enjoy growing these. These were really fun to grow and watch grow. These do need a trellis, and these I got from either Lowe's or Home Depot. I don't know. I ended up sending my husband out to go get these. So he either got them from Lowe's or Home Depot. I actually have more started already, and I put some in the ground already. It's been too cold, and so the plants have died back a little bit. And I'm looking forward to when the nights are no longer going below 32 to see if they come back. The next one is the classic green, dark green zucchini squash. This I grew, I want to say 13 plants in my own garden, and then also sold some of the seedlings at the farmer's market. This package has 2 seeds left in it. So I actually might need to pick some more up, and I probably will end up getting some from Dollar Tree. So this package was $1.58, which isn't bad, but I know I could get the same thing from Dollar Tree for 25 cents. I don't know how many seeds come in their packages, but I know I actually might have gotten some. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look through my seeds, but I might have already picked them up. These, when I started these at the beginning of the growing season, like 4 weeks before my last frost date, and they did magnificently once I put them out in the garden. They really just like took off and were producing so much. We had so much zucchini. at that point in time, I was no longer attending the farmer's market, so I didn't take any to the farmer's market. But these grew great. I tried to do a second sowing of these maybe like a month or two later, and they didn't do as well. They struggled because it was so hot when I put them in the ground. So I think if I tried this again, I would probably have to do it a little bit later, just because the midsummer heat was really hard on the young plants. So my first succession at the beginning of spring did great. My second succession in the middle of summer did not do as good, and I ended up pulling those plants out so I could put something else in. But they were nowhere near as prolific as the first set that I did. But this is a staple. I'll definitely grow this again because I like to make zucchini bread. Okay, the next one is the Micro Tom from Baker Creek. This is I planted at the end of December. Yeah, I planted it when there was only 2 weeks left in December, and I actually have some plants up and growing, and I planted them in little pots, little terracotta pots just like this, and they're doing great. They're only about this tall, so I think they're supposed to say very small, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the fruit looks like once it starts bearing fruit. So I don't really have much to say about this one because this is my first time growing it. I haven't grown them to fruition yet, but I do have at least 11 in pots right now, and I have a few more that I'm going to work on potting up this upcoming week. I just think this plant is super cute, and I plan on just selling potted plants like this at the farmer's market. I'm just waiting for whenever they start to get their blossoms. So if this does well, then this will definitely be one that I grow again next year. I'm marketing it as a windowsill tomato for people who want to have like a small kitchen windowsill garden. I plan on selling small pots like this, anywhere from 3 to 4 inches, one with tomatoes, one with basil, one with dill, and one with sage. So if people want to have a little windowsill garden, they can. Because I do believe that this one will be just fine growing inside, as long as it's getting a good amount of sunlight in a sunny window. The next one is the Boston Pickling Cucumber. Oh no, wait, this is National Pickling Cucumber. This one, I sold some seedlings and also had 4 plants in my own garden. I definitely want to have at least 8 plants of this one this year. I really enjoy growing this one. I trellised it up a cattle panel trellis, an arch trellis, and they grew great. I had to grow them in a portion of my yard that didn't get all day sun. The sun started to go behind the house around 3. And I don't really have any other shadier parts of my yard in the area where my garden is. So if I want to grow them in more shade, I'll have to put them on the opposite side of my yard, just because these grew really well, but in the heat of the day, the vines would completely wilt, and then by the evening, they would start to get their shape back, but every day, these things wilted, but they did produce magnificently. I made several jars of pickles, and some of the cucumbers I sold in bunches through Facebook. And yeah, these did great. So I just know this year I definitely want to have more, and I'll probably succession plant these. These are also either from Home Depot or Lowe's. These are all Fairy Morris, the ones that I don't know where they're from. They're either from Home Depot or Lowe's. Next up is Bachelor Button. This package is empty, and I got not a single Bachelor Button. So when I tried sowing these, I was still new to gardening. I didn't know that much about taking care of seeds in plug trays, and these I let dry out so many times the seeds never germinated, and I ended up going through an entire package and not getting a single flower. So I did get some of the Blue Boy Bachelor Buttons for this 2022, and they're already sown. Have not seen a sprout yet. So I don't know how long these take to germinate. It says 10 to 15 days. So we shall see, because the Blue Boy is supposed to be one of the most popular colors. Periwinkle is supposed to be the color of the year. So we'll see. But I did go through this entire package. I didn't get a single flower. And that one's from Lowe's or Home Depot. Next is the dark red Detroit Beet. Detroit dark red beet. I sowed a few successions of these, some successful, some not. Some I started in plug trays, and some I direct seeded. The ones I direct seeded didn't do that great. The ones I started in plug trays did really well. My first succession in plug trays, first time I ever tried to grow beets, did the best of any beets that I've ever tried to grow. And from then on, I've been sowing beets in seed cells and then leaving them in there too long, and the beets don't end up doing anything. So I don't know if it's what they call beginner's luck. I was paying more attention, figured out when I needed to get them in the ground, and they flourished. So every other succession I've done since then, I've taken a little bit too long to get them in the ground. So this is going to be one I'm going to continue trying to grow. To be honest with you, I don't actually like beets, but the beet greens are really good in a salad. So I might try adding them to my salad mix later on in the season. So, but this whole package I did end up going through, and that was mostly failed successions. But I had at least one succession of 50 beets that did magnificently. Up next is Sweet Peas, Sweet Dreams Mixed Colors. And I think this is from Lowe's or Home Depot. But it's burpy. And these I planted in the fall so that I could have early spring sweet peas. According to where I live, where it shows you when you can sow them outdoors, it says March, April, May is a good time to sow them outdoors. These I started in August and planted out in the garden in October, and some of them are doing great, some of them not so much, and I don't know what the difference is. I don't know if there's something going on with the soil or underneath the soil, microorganisms, drainage issues, I have no idea. But I sowed 3 different successions of these sweet peas, so I'm eager to find out which one does the best. And this is my first year growing sweet peas, so I'm looking forward to experiencing sweet peas because I've heard so much about how wonderful their fragrances are, so I'm really looking forward to experiencing that and creating bouquets with these. Okay, and then up next I'll show these 3 together. These are from Haas Tools, which you can order their stuff online, and these are all pro-cut sunflowers. And each of these packets has 50 seeds. I ordered these towards the middle of summer because my sunflowers were doing so well and people were just wanting more and more sunflowers, and I wanted to have some options for the fall. So I ordered pro-cut White Night, which I had grown that earlier in the season already, pro-cut Red, and then I ordered Cup Plum. Okay, and then I'll talk about each of these individually. So the White Night I grew at the beginning of spring. And what I learned about White Night is this is probably one that I will just stick to beginning of spring and maybe fall. This wasn't as popular a color midsummer, but also this was, in my garden, this was one that the bugs really liked. So the foliage was chomped on like constantly. Also the stalks and the necks of these weren't very substantial. They were pretty flimsy and kind of flopped around, and the head of the sunflower wasn't very strong. So I like this one, but I'm on the fence of whether or not I want to grow it again this year, just because it wasn't giving as much of an impact in a bouquet or floral arrangement. I felt like with the gold pro-cut sunflowers, I could put 3 or 4 and then do it for a very reasonable price, and it still felt like a really good value, right? With the White Night, I feel like I had to put 5 or 6 for it to create any like substantial impact to feel like you were getting a value, just because I feel like these White Night weren't as much of a focal as they could have been. So I'm on the fence on whether or not I'm going to grow this. I don't have any more seeds for this. I currently, in my pro-cut selection, I have a ton of Pro Cut Gold because this is what everyone was requesting, or Pro Cut Orange. This is what everyone was requesting, Pro Cut Orange. I actually did grow Pro Cut Gold too, and those were pretty. And then I have some Pro Cut Bicolor. So I'll talk about, so the bicolor. I don't know how I'm feeling about the bicolor, but I'm not going to talk about it probably until the end of 2022 because I still have plenty in that package. So because I have them, I'll probably plant them. Okay, and then the Pro Cut Plum. Honestly, the Pro Cut Plum and the Pro Cut Bicolor were so similar, but the Pro Cut Plum was pretty. The Pro Cut Plum and the Pro Cut Red. I actually grew these at my local community garden where the amount of beneficial insects was probably way less than the amount of harmful or detrimental insects, and so a lot of these got completely like munched up. The centers of some of them got eaten out by, I guess, some kind of moth. I wasn't able to visit my community garden plot as much as I would have liked, so I wasn't able to monitor what kind of pest was eating my sunflowers. So these grew great. The red grew huge. Some of them too large to use in bouquets. So that was the only thing about the red. And then the plum was another favorite of the critters. So I'm on the fence on whether or not I'm going to grow these again as well, just because they just attracted critters so much. I didn't really get to have as much harvest as I would have liked. So this year I'm really going to focus on the bicolor and the orange because that's what I have a lot of seeds for. And then once I plant through those, figure out what I'm going to do. I might end up going with a branching sunflower after that. And then I have 2 more seed packets here. So this one, my absolute favorite. If you follow me on any of my other social media platforms, then you'll know that this is one that I talk about. I have been talking about often. It's called Orange Hat Tomato, and it is from Baker Creek. This one was so fun to grow last year. I actually started these last November for the first time. Not November of 2021. November of 2020, I grew these for the first time. And I grew them indoors under grow lights. And they were really fun to grow. Me and my husband enjoyed them a lot. I used them to make that infamous like social media pasta sauce with the roasted tomatoes and the roasted feta with the olive oil and the seasonings. We used our orange hats for that, and it tasted really good. So right now I have at least 11 of them growing in 6-inch pots. I'm probably going to start more seeds this evening, if not tonight, then tomorrow, because I also want to sell them at the farmer's market. These were one of my top sellers at the farmer's market. People were excited to purchase a small compact tomato that they could grow inside, either in a windowsill or on a porch. And they could get like a handful of tomatoes at a time. Now, one thing I do have to say about these, which growing these, and then I also grew Roma tomatoes last year, both my first time growing tomatoes, is that I had no idea how long it took for tomatoes to ripen. So that was all a new experience for me, and these did take a while to ripen. But I would have to say, if you grow these, definitely grow multiples of them so that you can get a handful or 2 at a time as opposed to like 4 or 5. Now, if you just want them to be able to walk by, pick a couple off and have a snack, then yeah, grow 1 or 2. But if you want to be able to use some to make like a pasta dish or a sauce or put several in a salad, then I would say grow at least 3 to 5. So this is one that I'm super excited to continue growing for this coming year, this year, 2022. And then the last packet, I started these at the end of 2021. This was one I was excited to grow because it is a perennial, and I think that these flowers are so gorgeous. Let me show you the picture again. This is Rudbeckia Cherokee Sunset, and just the variety of colors, the dark shades, the shades of orange and yellow, I think these are so gorgeous. And I think these will be really pretty for the fall, but I wanted to go ahead and start the seeds in case there was user error. And there was user error. There was either user error or low germination rate. I don't know. But I planted out this whole packet of seeds in 2 different tries. Now, the seeds say there's at least 40 seeds in here, and I think there may have been 50. And one of my seed trays holds 50 seeds. And from all of the seeds that I've sown, I think I have maybe 3 seedlings. I'm not 100% sure if they're Rudbeckia or not, but I think that they are. This is my first year growing Rudbeckia, so I'm not extremely familiar with the seedling, with what the seedling looks like. But from what I gathered online, I think what I have is Rudbeckia seedlings, because I don't know if y'all have ever done this, but you sow some seeds, you wait and wait and wait, and nothing comes up. So then you dump all the seed starting mix out, and you sow different seeds. And then some seeds start to pop up that weren't what you just sowed. And so you have to figure out, because you reuse your seed starting mix, what is it that you're growing? And that's the predicament that I'm in right now. Is some stuff I don't know what it is, because I did reuse seed starting mix. So I'm going to have to let it grow up a little bit before I figure. And so I think some of what I have is Rudbeckia, and I think I have 3 of them. So out of at least 40 seeds that I have 3 plants. So if it is this Rudbeckia Cherokee Sunset that I have, I'm going to try to save seeds to have, because this wasn't super expensive. It was like $3.50, but it was only 40 or 50 seeds for $3. And so I actually want to grow a substantial amount of these because I like the way that they look, and I really want to use them for fall bouquets. They're also a really gorgeous perennial, so I would love for them to come back year after year. And I just want to fail-proof that by having multiple plants. So there you have it. There are all my empties for 2021, and I can officially put these in my compost pile. The thing is, some of these packages are so pretty. Like this one, I think I might just save it because the picture is so gorgeous. But some of the other ones are a little bit more tattered. I can put them in my compost pile and start a new pile of seeds that I planted through for 2022. So I look forward to coming to you guys again at the end of the year. I'll be back before then, but I look forward to coming back to you guys at the end of the year to show you the seed packets that I planted through for this year. And yeah, I hope to have a very successful growing season, and I do plan on doing a seedling sale again this year, so hopefully I will plant through several more packets, and I'll be saving those to come to you again at the end of the year and show you guys, and just talk through again what worked for me and what didn't. So I look forward to doing that, and until next time, keep learning and keep growing.